Hello. How are you doing? This is the S. Anthony Thomas. This is the S. Anthony Says podcast, episode number 496. And you know what, folks? Let me just say this really quickly. A lot of times I have an episode planned out, and then something will happen in the real world that will pretty much supersede the episode that I was going to present to you, and that happened here. You know, I was actually going to record the episode yesterday. I'm recording this actually Monday afternoon. I'm going to put it up right after I finish editing it. And I was going to talk about something else, but what I want to talk about is how much fun it is to win after someone said you can't. How much fun it is to win when someone said you can't, because you will see things like that and you will wind up rooting for someone who isn't even you, or maybe you don't even know them, but you will root for them anyway. And I'm talking about the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl over the Kansas City Chiefs. If you watched a lot of the press, it was always Chiefs. Oh yeah, Eagles are there too, right? Even though they had similar records. Because, of course, the Chiefs had won 2 Super Bowls and they were trying to go for the three-peat, which has never been done in the NFL in the Super Bowl era. So, of course, it's a big story, but it was kind of dismissive of the other team, which, from what I saw, is pretty daggone good also, right? But let's talk about the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's talk about him in college. He was having a very successful college career in Alabama, goes to the national championship game, sucks in that particular game, gets benched. Tua gets put in. Tua wins the game. Yay! And they won the national championship, and he was gracious. Even though he didn't get to play in the game, he showed love to the quarterback, the other quarterback, Tua, takes the starting job, has a successful career, gets hurt in the next championship game the next year, playing exactly the same team. Jalen Hurts comes in, wins that game, and he actually is essentially, if you think about it, he didn't get to play in the last championship game, but now against the same team again, comes back and almost picking up where he left off, wins the game. Imagine how good that felt, right? You lose your starting job and the next thing you know, you're in there, you lead a comeback, you win the national championship and it's with your hand. That's a great feeling. Goes to the NFL and everybody's saying he can't do this, he can't do that, he can't read defenses, all of that ridiculousness, which was obviously not true. He can't throw the deep ball, obviously not true, right? He has to listen to all of that crap and keeps making improvements. Imagine how good it feels to watch yourself get better and better and better, to get a starting job, right? Goes to the Super Bowl, plays the devastating Kansas City Chiefs, absolutely outplays Patrick Mahomes, but they lose by 3 points. He puts the picture of himself walking back to the locker room with the gold, with the red confetti falling down as motivation to get back and do it again. Has a tough season the next season, because sometimes that happens. A lot of times that happens. Most of the time that happens to the team that lost in the Super Bowl. The next year they kind of suck. Then this year happens. They have a tough start to the season. People are already talking about he can't do it. He sucks. He blows. His coach sucks. Everybody sucks. Everything stinks. They have a players only meeting and then they just begin mowing through everybody. And they get back to the Super Bowl against the same team, going for a three-peat. People talking about he can't do, the Chiefs are going to get him. And what does he do? The Philadelphia Eagles mow the Chiefs down. Imagine how that man feels the whole time looking at his phone and the lock screen is him walking away dejected after the Super Bowl. Played good, played great, played better than the other guy, still lost, must suck. But then he comes back, plays the same team and mows them down. That's got to be a great feeling, because it always feels better to win when people say you can't, to win when you're insulted, to win when you're an underdog, to win when people are saying all sorts of crap about you. Now, I've never won a Super Bowl, but I know what it's like to win when someone says I can't do something. And I'm sure you've won some things as well. People told you can't get into that college and you get into that college anyway. People tell you can't get that job and you get that job anyway. People say you're that particular attractive person, however they're attractive to you, whether it's personality or physicality, but that awesome person, you'll never have a chance with him. And meanwhile, 5 years later, you're sitting under a Christmas tree with that person and your twin children because you're married to the person they said wouldn't even talk to you. You know what that feels like. And I also know what that feels like. It's happened to me several times when I was doing stand-up comedy all the time, when that was my job. It happened to me all the time. I'll even go back to my late teens, early 20s, which is when I started doing comedy at 17. Wasn't even an adult yet, just had turned 17. And I had gotten pretty good pretty quickly. And in some of the places outside of my home club, I knew to do a lot more clean material. But in my home club, it was, keep in mind, this is the 80s. This was an edgy time. Curse words, shocking material. That's what everybody was doing. And I was no different. I was a 17-year-old. Everybody's 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 years older than me. That's what they were doing. They were my big brothers and sisters. I fit right in. So I figured out how to do material like that. It was kicking ass in these clubs, right? And one of the people that worked at the club saw me and knew I was trying to get a job with a booker who had a string of places that I could get to and make and be cool. I wanted to get in those gigs, but those places were squeaky clean and they didn't want curse words and all that kind of crap. They didn't like it. They didn't want it. They didn't like it. But this person had only seen me in that club in those circumstances, didn't realize that the overwhelming majority of my material fit perfectly in those other clubs. Instead of minding their business, they knew the booker, heard my name being mentioned as someone who may be on those gigs, and called the booker and tried to tell the booker, don't book the kid, he's not right for the room. That person had incomplete information. They didn't know me. They just knew what they saw in that one particular club. That's why when you go to the doctor's office, they don't just take your blood pressure once. When you get triaged, they take your blood pressure. You sit down for 20 minutes, you go in with the doctor, the nurse comes in, takes your blood pressure again, and then the doctor comes in and takes your blood pressure again, because blood pressure is just what's happening to you right now. You may have missed the elevator, you're late for your appointment and ran up the steps. You may be nervous because you might get nervous at the doctor's office. It's a snapshot. And in this particular case, this person had a snapshot of what young S. Anthony did. This person called the booker and downed me, said I couldn't do it. Oh, I need to rethink it. Oh, don't put him there. That's not going to work. Oh, don't do that. Oh, that's not a good idea. Oh, no, don't do that. The booker called me and let me know that some people were concerned about me putting you in these places because, and he explained why. And when I heard the explanation, I narrowed it down to 3 people that could have made the phone call. And then I narrowed it down to 1 person because the other 2 people may have felt that way, but they weren't the kind of people that would literally actively call to try to damage somebody's reputation, call to try to get somebody from not playing a room, call behind somebody's back to try to snake them. Those 2 people may have felt that way, which I doubted, by the way, but even if they did feel that way, they wouldn't make that phone call to try to damage the kid being me. Process of elimination. I called the booker back and I said, dude, I know who you're talking about. Well, I really don't want to say. I said, you don't have to say. I know who you're talking about. Do me a favor. And I named the show where the most religious and where you needed to be the squeaky cleanest one. It was like the 3rd show in. I said, I can do the job and I can prove it. I'll send you a tape. But I want you to somehow, if you can, get that person to come to that show. But could you do that? Well, yeah, they live right down there. Good. Invite them to the show. You know what? Why don't you, invite them to the show. don't let them know I'm on that show, okay? Okay. Do the first show in the squeaky clean place, crush it. Do the second show in another squeaky clean place, smash it. So was already confident I could do the job, but now I'm supremely confident because I had just done it twice. And this one was in a big place. It was like a fire hall, held about 600 people.